गुड इवनिंग। आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत है आंसर राइटिंग इम्प्रूवमेंट प्रोग्राम के इस क्लास में। आपको एक सूचना देनी थी इस कार्यक्रम के माध्यम से भी कि हमारा जो यूपीएससी का डेली आंसर राइटिंग प्रोग्राम DAWP जो कल 7 नवंबर से शुरू हुआ था, उस कार्यक्रम के प्रश्नों का डिस्कशन आज दोपहर 3 बजे होना था। वो डिस्कशन आज 8 बजे से होगा, 8 से 8:30 वो डिस्कशन होगा। तो और जो UPPCS डेली आंसर राइटिंग का डिस्कशन है वो 8:30 से 9 के बीच में होगा। हालांकि अभी शुरुआत में 2-3 दिन इस शेड्यूल में चलेगा, बाद में शीघ्र ही संस्थान में डिजिटल बोर्ड भी लग जाएगा, तो उसके बाद इन कार्यक्रमों को और पहले चलाया जाए ताकि आपको आसानी हो देखने में। तो आज के प्रश्न को देखते हैं। ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट है भारत में कृषि तकनीक के क्षेत्र में। हाल ही में रिसेंटली जेनेटिक इंजीनियरिंग अप्रूवल कमिटी GEAC, द जेनेटिक इंजीनियरिंग अप्रेजल कमिटी recently approved the environmental release of a hybrid mustard variety in India. So we know that agriculture, food production, processing, science tech, biotechnology, genetic engineering, all these are parts of general studies paper 3 syllabus. So it becomes both relevant and important because we know that UPSC these days is putting more focus on specific developments in science and technology. Particularly it is also related to indigenization of technology. Okay, that is also a part of our syllabus. So this question becomes important. Now as we know that recently GEAC, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, which is the apex regulator body in India for genetically modified crops, for GM crops. It is also important to note from the perspective of prelims exam, GEAC is the apex body for regulating genetically modified crops in India. Okay, so it had recently given environmental clearance, environmental release approval for Dhara mustard hybrid DMH11. Okay, so a recent mustard variety developed by University of Delhi. So Dhara mustard hybrid DMH11, and GEAC it gave environmental release approval to it. Now the question becomes important, and now let us try to answer it. The question is, explain the significance of the development of a hybrid mustard variety in India. What are the controversies related to it? As we are observing these days that the language and nature of questions in UPSC main exam is more straightforward, is tending to be more straightforward, and there is more focus towards specific scientific developments. Okay, so now let us start with the introduction. We can directly write in context of the development of the hybrid mustard variety in India and directly say that Dhara mustard hybrid DMH11, we can directly start with DMH11, the environmental release of Dhara mustard hybrid 11, Dhara mustard hybrid 11, DMH11. Dhara mustard hybrid 11 was recently approved by GEAC, was recently approved by GEAC. In introduction, we brought the recent context highlighting what is DMH. Now we can write DMH11 is a genetically engineered variety of mustard. Genetically engineered variety of mustard. Okay. So this is how we can write the introduction to this question, because we have been asked the significance of the development of a hybrid mustard variety in India. Okay, so we noted down the specific context of the recent approval for environmental release by GEAC, and also we highlighted that the Dhara mustard hybrid is a genetically modified mustard crop. Okay, so now this would suffice as the introduction, and as I have always told, the number of words in introduction should not be more than 25-30 words in case of a 250 word answer. In case of 150 word answer, it should not be more than 20 to 25 words. So this thumb rule you should always have to observe. Now coming to the question, coming to the main body of the question. This program is focused on this AWIP in English medium, in which we deal with daily current affairs questions, current affairs of relevance and importance from the perspective of UPSC exam. The objective of this program is to highlight one current affairs issue on a daily basis, which can probably be asked in the main exam, and make you accustomed to such kind of questions, and also at the same time to learn how to write those questions on a daily basis, to learn the art of answer writing on a daily basis. Now let us make a subheading. Always better to write significance, significance of development of a hybrid mustard variety. Development of a hybrid mustard variety in India. Variety in India. What are the significances? First thing is that Indian Council for Agriculture Research, ICAR made several trials of this mustard variety, hybrid mustard variety, and assessed that its productivity is about 30 to 40% more than the local varieties of mustard. So obviously it is going to enhance productivity of mustard in India. So the first significance is that you can mention ICAR trials to make your point more reliable. Okay, according to ICAR studies, DMH11 has 38% more productivity compared to best local varieties of India, best local varieties of mustard in India, best local varieties of mustard in India. So this development is significant for increasing overall edible oil productivity in India. Significant for increasing yield and productivity, yield as well as productivity. So this is the first significance. Now comes the second point. And see, one more important fact I would like to add, that this variety of hybrid mustard DMH11, it is developed from two local varieties. DMH11, it is developed from two local varieties. This part can be asked in prelims exam also. So the first variety is Varuna and second variety is Early Hira 2. So these two varieties of mustard, they have been used to develop DMH11, which is a hybrid variety of mustard. So this information you need to know. And these two parent varieties of mustard, in these two parent varieties, their genes have been changed using genes from soil bacterium, using genes from two soil bacterium. So what are those soil bacterium? Genes from two soil bacterium, Barnage and Barster. So from these two soil bacterium, genes had been used to develop this hybrid mustard. As we know that mustard is a self-pollinating crop. So it is very difficult to introduce cross-breeding in them. breeders, crop breeders, they find it very much difficult to produce hybrid varieties of mustard because it is a self-pollinating crop. Again, it has to be kept in mind from the perspective of prelims exam also. Mustard is a self-pollinating crop, okay? So it is very difficult to develop crossbreed varieties. For that purpose, genes from two soil bacterium, Barnage and Baster, has been used in the parent mustard variety Varuna and early Hira 2. From these two mustard varieties, local mustard varieties, DMH11 has been developed. So this information is necessary to have in mind from the perspective of prelims exam. Why I wrote this? Because in the second point, while writing significance, there is the reference to Barnage and Baster, and we have to understand that the platform of it signifies success of Barnage Baster system which can be used for development of which can be used as a technology platform for developing more hybrid variety crops. As I gave a brief introduction about the Barnage Baster system, so this mustard hybrid variety, it proves that the same technology can be used for developing other hybrid variety crops in India. So that is the second significance. Now the third significance is, as we all know that recently, the cost of edible oil in India, the price of edible oil in India had soared very high. And in the recent past few months, it has come slightly down, but still it is much above the levels of 2019 and 20 prices. So we know that India imports about 55 to 60% of its edible oil requirements. If we have this kind of hybrid varieties with very high productivity, then surely such type of import requirements can be decreased. So the third significance is that hybrid varieties like DMH11 can help reduce India's edible oil import requirements, or simply edible oil imports. Now, to substantiate our point and to add more credibility to our point, we can add piece of information that about 55 to 60% of India's edible oil need is imported. So we import about 55 to 60% of our edible oil need. So this is the third significance. Now the fourth significance is, if you compare agri-technologies at the global level, you will find that in countries like Canada, in European countries, in China, nowadays the variety of mustard used is more hybrid than local or indigenous. So the major producers of mustard like China, Canada, okay, and other European countries, they are using more and more hybrid varieties, and due to that their productivity is high, also the crop quality is high. In that case, India's mustard, it faces very stiff competition at the international level. So to increase India's competitiveness in agri exports as well, this development is very significant. Now comes the fourth point, that it can increase India's competitiveness. It can increase India's competitiveness with regard to agri exports at the global level. global level. And you can add the reference to the other mustard producing countries, Canada, China, and other major producers, major producers use more hybrid varieties, of mustard. So this is how we can address the first part of the question, the first sub part of the question, which is asking about significance of this development. Okay? Now coming to the second sub part of the question. Which is very straightforward. It is asking about the controversies related to GM mustard or hybrid mustard. As we know that BT brinjal was a genetically modified variety of brinjal which was also given clearance in the year 2009, but the then government had also stalled its commercial cultivation. Okay, GEAC had cleared BT brinjal in 2009 also, but it was not given clearance by the government due to various apprehensions. Similarly, as we know that only BT cotton is the only commercial crop which is genetically modified and also used for commercial cultivation. Okay, so there are some controversies and aspersions also related to mustard hybrid. Okay, that is the point the question is asking, that you have to write controversies related to hybrid mustard. Now we can write controversies related to it. Controversies related to it. The first thing is that it is a self-pollinating crop. As I discussed earlier, that mustard is a self-pollinating crop and it is very difficult to crossbreed. Now foreign genes are being introduced in the local varieties. So this is the first controversy, that we are introducing foreign genes into local varieties and we don't know what outcome or biological consequence will it have on the natural evolution of local varieties. So the first controversy is introduction of foreign genes in local varieties of mustard, and at the same time we can see that these genes are not from any other crop plant, but it is from soil bacterium. So it is a cross-species gene transfer. So this is the first controversy related to hybrid mustard. Now the second point is that scientists are alleging that this technology is not much reliable for continuous production of hybrid mustard because mustard is not a self-pollinating crop. The second controversy is that scientists allege that this technology, the technology we are referring, the Barnage-Baxter technology, which we just discussed. So scientists allege that this technology is not reliable enough for consistent production of hybrid mustard. Okay, consistent production of hybrid mustard. This is the second controversy related to it, that the technology which has been given environmental clearance, so it cannot be relied, it is not credible enough for producing sustained amount of hybrid mustard varieties. So this is the second controversy. Now coming to the third controversy, because the question is straightforward, so you have to just list down the controversies. Now, as I told that introduction of a foreign gene is taking place, and introduction of a foreign gene, it produces another gene in the mustard crop, okay? As we know that hybrid mustard uses foreign gene to be developed, genes to be developed, which produces a new gene, which is called bar gene, in the crop, okay? Now, as we see that it requires the use of another gene called the bar gene, okay? We have seen that genes from soil bacterium are deployed. Now, it also requires foreign gene for the production of hybrid mustard varieties, and that bar gene is said to be herbicide tolerant. And this bar gene is said to be herbicide tolerant. Herbicide tolerant means it retains herbicides. Herbicides are used for killing herbs, unwanted herbs, okay? And this is a herbicide tolerant gene. In case it is retained in the crop and it is consumed, so it can lead to transfer of chemical from the crop to the human body. So it is the third controversy related to it, that in the production of hybrid mustard, bar genes, they are herbicide tolerant and they can transfer and bioaccumulate in the human body and across the food chain, and it can create health issues across the food chain. So this is the third controversy related to it. Coming to the fourth controversy. These are technical points, and if you don't include technical points in your answer, so in case of science and tech questions, it becomes very, very difficult to fetch good marks. In case of science and tech questions, always mention specific scientific points, scientific arguments to get more and more marks. So in these kind of questions, you can't just beat around the bush and write some general points and expect good marks. You have to write a specific and focused point. Yes, controversy can also be asked. There is one comment. All of you, most welcome. Good evening, everybody. And one user has asked, controversy पूछेगा? Yes, controversy can be asked. In case of critical examination of any topic, you can use the controversial points also. There it will be helpful. Okay? So the controversial points can be helpful if you have to critically deal with the issue or the aspect asked in the question. So their controversial points are helpful. Now, the fourth controversy is GM mustard crop, or you can say GM crop in general. This fourth controversial point is applied generally to all the genetically modified crops. Okay? So GM mustard crop can dissuade or turn away bees from pollination. GM mustard crop can dissuade bees from pollination due to change in biological character of the crop. As we just discussed, introduction of foreign gene is taking place. So it can dissuade bees from pollination. It can have serious environmental and agricultural consequences. Severe environmental and agricultural consequences. Okay? As we know that pollinators are very crucial component of the ecosystem, and they play the most vital role in food security. Pollinators like bees, insects, birds, all these factors, they play a very crucial role in maintaining the food security, because without pollination, the entire production cycle will be broken. So now coming to the conclusion part, we have mentioned about 4 controversies, and in a 250 word question, as I said, that you have to be careful about the word limit also, because 250 words, it gives a tendency to write more. Okay? If we see in 150 words, we have a general tendency to write less, but in 250 words, the flow has to be restricted. Means we can write a lot about any topic, but that tendency has to be restricted. Okay? In first subpart, we saw that we had some 4 to 5 points. Controversy also some very brief 4 to 5 points. Now coming to the conclusion part of the question. Now how can we conclude it? First thing is that the conclusion should be solely focused on the overall demand of the question. This has to be kept in mind. Okay? So we can write that GEAC has, although it has given environmental clearance to the hybrid mustard, but it has not been officially accepted by the government. So government has not officially supported the release of genetically modified mustard. Okay? So this point we can mention. GEAC has approved, we can write, we can frame it in another manner. Despite environmental approval by GEAC, despite environmental approval by GEAC, government hasn't officially supported GM mustard. So there is no official support from the government to introduction of or commercial cultivation of genetically modified mustard. Although GEAC is also a government body. Okay? GEAC is also a government body, but the Ministry of Environment and Forest as well as the Ministry of Agriculture has not officially supported GM mustard. So this thing you can write in the conclusion to give a perspective to the answer. Okay? Further, you can write more scientific assessments and studies are required for its commercial cultivation. Now see, you need to observe that in the introduction, in the conclusion, we have stated a fact, but we are not pessimistic. Okay? We have also put some hope that with more scientific assessments and studies, we can introduce GM mustard for commercial cultivation also. We saw that according to ICAR trials, it is proved that the GM mustard has more productivity and yield compared to the local varieties of mustard. Okay? But again, there are allegations that the technology is not reliable. Okay? At the same time, there are apprehensions about introduction of foreign genes. So we can say that more assessment and studies are required till it is given commercial cultivation clearance. At the same time, in the conclusion, we have also stated a fact that it has been given environmental clearance by GEAC, but government has not officially supported it. Okay? So this is how you have to write a balanced conclusion, giving a perspective to the issue concerned, at the same time being optimistic and hopeful about the point in question. So this type of science and tech issues on a daily basis, if you practice, you will have a good command over the period of time, over the scientific developments and particularly indigenized technology. Meanwhile, as I pointed out important points for prelims, so you kindly note down. Sujit, very good evening, all of you. Most welcome to the class, but the class is going to end. I request all of you to join the class on the assigned time, that is 5:30 p.m. On 5:30 p.m. we are live. So now, as we have already written the conclusion part, I again remind you that while we discuss any topic, you need to point out both aspects which are crucial for prelims exam as well as mains exam. So thank you so much for joining the session, and I hope that you are making notes as well of all these classes, and I hope that this session is helpful for you. At the same time, I would request you to provide your feedback and comments so that we can bring more better classes for you. Our DWAP, our daily answer writing program, is ongoing It is a program for daily answer practice. You can join this program by contacting on the Nishchay IAS office number. Other than daily answer writing program, we have two other successful program, answer writing improvement program, which is a weekend Saturday Sunday program for improving your answer writing. Okay, and also we have mains test series. Mains test series. So you can join these programs by Nishchay IAS to improve your answer writing, and because ultimately you have to write answers in the main exam and score good marks to fetch a very good rank. Okay, so answer writing is very crucial, and there is concurrently 3 programs based on answer writing which is undergoing in Nishchay IAS Academy. You can contact on the office number to get more details about daily answer writing program, the weekend answer writing program, and the test series for main examination. So thank you so much for joining the session. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.